fucking disarray. Getting everything ready for tonight. I probably won't be able to sleep, so I'll probably be on like at midnight when this shit drops. So I plan on playing. So I'm eating me an early dinner. And gonna watch some Cyberpunk shit. Might play a couple games. Getting everything ready.
It's kind of hard to believe that the Cyberpunk universe is actually the same universe as ours, except somewhere along the way things drastically changed, and that completely altered the course of the Cyberpunk universe to make it completely different to our universe. But if we were to look back, key events such as World War I, World War II, they did happen within the Cyberpunk universe. So in this video we are going to be going through a bit of the timeline. I have already done a video talking about the timeline before, but this time we are actually going to be looking at the exact point in which the Cyberpunk universe started to change. Before I do get into the video, if you do want to see me streaming this game live when it is released on December the 10th, then there is a link in the description down below which will take you over to the Twitch channel. Normally I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and recently Call of Duty Cold War, and also a bit of Red Dead Online. But those streams will be ramping up to daily streams the second that Cyberpunk is released, and we're just going to be going all out on Cyberpunk. So if that is of interest to you, as said, there is a link in the description down below. So getting back into the video, as said, the Cyberpunk universe is the exact same universe as Earth, but somewhere along the way things started to branch off. And it would be easy to go all the way back through the time.
I'm so ready for this fucking thing.
At this point, the first ever
I'll make me a little dinner.
Within the Cyberpunk universe that didn't happen.
Watch some fucking videos.
It's the point in which it started.
I'm probably gonna go to sleep.
Yes, that is true. And because of that,
Cause I come like
there you have the
midnight my time.
and that person could do something that can
I'll be logging on, man. As soon as they fucking hit me with the fucking.
It didn't make a massive difference until a certain date later on. We can look back all the way through 1800s and we can start to see different characters being
You're hearing my
These
shit
characters
again.
do not play a part within Cyberpunk 2077, but what they do play a part of is a big family name. So you have Sese Arasaka, who was born to the mid to late 1800s. And Sese,
There we go.
If you are currently trying to sell an online course or a training program or coaching program,
No, I ain't trying to sell shit. Shut up.
Arasaka was the founder of Arasaka, but in these early stages of 1800s going into 1900s, it was only a small manufacturing company. And Arasaka was not in a position of power at this point.
Watching one of my friends. Well, I won't say friends, one of the people I watch. Because we're not friends, we don't know each other, right?
Events such as World War I,
I like it. One of my friends.
the biggest change was actually
Fucking dude don't know me.
1989. And despite everything that we've
Know
seen
me
since
about well as a
then,
fucking roll of toilet paper.
trailers as well as gameplay, you would have thought that all of a sudden a corporation grew much bigger than everything else, became a mega corporation, and it just controlled the world. But no, it was actually the government's own doing. And if they didn't make these moves, then maybe we could have seen Cyberpunk in a completely different limelight. Maybe it could have very well been still the same universe as ours, but only with a few slight differences. So in 1989, the Gang of Four was created, and this was a group made up of the CIA, the NSC, FBI, and the DEA. They formed together to secretly run the United States of America behind the president's back. If these groups didn't form together, then maybe there would have been a completely different outcome. Because only 1 year later, after the Gang of Four coming together, in 1990 the First Central American conflict begins. This war was branded as a war on drugs and communism, but this was actually just a way for the United States to invade other countries south of the border. This was the beginning of when things started to spin out of control. We could very well look at this being the point in which cyberware started to be in demand, because many soldiers that were part of this First Central American conflict was then abandoned by the United States government.
My mic up that high? Really?
Back from the war, missing different body
Fucking hear me chew and shit.
So therefore, soldiers then wanted this cyberware so they can at least feel like they had that body part back. And that's where the demand for cyberware came from. We could also look how this war they can invade countries south of the border and then take them just to make America even more powerful, they underestimated that the backlash of what was about to happen. Because during this Central American conflict, which lasts quite a few years up until 1994, within 1993, coming towards the end of this war, a small-yield nuclear device is detonated in New York City, killing 15,000 people. And the big question that is on everyone's mind at this point is, why did this happen? Who did it? It was found out that Colombian drug lords were to blame. And if the Gang of Four didn't form together to secretly run United States, only to then invade countries south of the border and interfere with the drug trade, this terrorist attack would never have happened, resulting from this terrorist attack within New York City. In 1994, the world stock market collapsed. During this year as well, this was when the Central American conflict ended. And because of everything that happened in 1996, the event known as the collapse began.
What if you could buy
What if
online real estate and
we
rent
could
it
buy
out to local
online real
business
estate
owners
with somebody else's
for
money?
5 camp-
Which also led to the president.
Let's make that deal. Make that money. Somebody else's money. Why somebody else's? Because I ain't got my own.
1 in 4 Americans become homeless, martial law is established, gangs pop up with alarming regularity, and because of all of these problems that's happening in the States, people started to move out of the cities because of becoming homeless, and a lot of these people eventually formed as the nomads. And if all of that wasn't enough, everything that happened over the last 7 years was just the destruction of America. And this just leaves the board clear for mega corporations to rise up. From here, the world just carried on spinning out of control. We can carry on leading to everything that happened just because the Gang of Four formed together. You can see the second that they formed together, they started the Central American conflict. That Central American conflict led to the demand for cyberware. It also led to a terrorist attack within New York City, killing 15,000 people. Eventually, the world stock market collapsed, which led to the collapse of America, which also led to the vice president and president being killed, which finally brought us to the point of where the rich got richer and the poor got poorer. And this is when mega corporations started to rise up. They didn't rise up immediately, it still took quite a few years, but because there was no restrictions in place from government,
Yeah, I'm watching the lore because,
corporations the freedom to do what
I mean, this is going to be my first time playing Cyberpunk, so I really don't know the backstory of it.
We realized how much power was up for grabs. So when fast forwarding to the future, we started to have corporate wars. And these were wars involving multiple corporations, and mainly they were fighting over resources. If the corporations were able to get those resources, they could profit out of them, giving them more leverage to control certain areas, certain countries, maybe countries themselves, maybe even the whole world. But if the governments were still in place, they would have actually been able to do something if anything did lead to a corporate war. But before anything did turn to the scale of it actually being a full-out war, the government would have had rules in place about having a monopoly. So mega corporations such as Arasaka wouldn't be able to be as big as they currently are. There could have been so many different restrictions that the government could have put in place, which would have stopped mega corporations getting to the power that they currently are. But because there's no government in place, the corporations were just free to do whatever they wanted. So this is where you can start to see how one little change or one little move from the government completely changed up everything. That one move of the Gang of Four forming together, and then 1 year later beginning the Central American conflict, how it has led to everything changing. The Gang of Four did eventually come to an end. In 2003, the Gang of Four begins to crumble under new reforms, and in 2004 you did have the CIA and also the Army unite to finish off the Gang of Four. After many mistakes that happened from the Gang of Four, America did soon realize that they just weren't beneficial to them. In the years that they did try to run United States,
Well, see, how are they fucking running it? Huh?
For each protocol benefit, it adds more time. How is the story? The story is great. I love the story. I mean, I'm not going to say more about that. That's why I'm not touching it, because I think people really need to experience it for themselves. It's kind of disappointing that day one, the first minute the gameplay was allowed, there's spoilers by YouTube channels. I already saw somebody with a thumbnail of the ending, and it's like, oh, people. And they didn't try to hide anything either.
I don't want to see that shit. I want to get my own. I want to watch stuff, but I don't want no spoilers.
But yes, this is a Cyberware menu. You have to go to Ripperdocs to get new Cyberware installed. But you can add some mods to some of them. Like, do I have something? Yeah, I have something I could add on there, but I'm not. Because I'll save it, because I think if I use it once, it goes away. Axon 4436 says sell or disassemble. That's pretty much your options with weapons. Whack4863, I recognize the name. I feel like that's a YouTuber. Hey dude, been a long time. Just want to say congrats on the channel success. Good to see you doing well. Much love from an old friend. Okay, that is. I remember you back in the old YouTube days. 2012, I think. Jesus. Long time no see. Thank you for the support, man. Appreciate it. And everybody who has given donations. I can't keep up at this point. Brandon, why does it look this way? Maybe just be my PC, like some of the settings I have. It looks fine in my opinion. Also, some of the parts that I'm visiting that look dull are just that way. Believe me, there's some very lively colors in Japantown and such, in North Oak, which I'll probably go to after this, so you can see some of that, because I've been kind of hanging around a lot of the nasty-looking districts. Milky, I gotta put that on the screen. Apologies, I should have. I don't have one right now, no FPS counter. But anyway, this is what I mean by...
Midnight tonight. Midnight tonight I get to play. I know.
This is the crowds that you get in Cyberpunk 2077. It's pretty populated, so take that as how you feel. Jack Fay, why is there so much baseless hate on this game? It goes with every AAA release. People just love to hate. I mean, there's reasons to be upset and disappointed by Cyberpunk in some aspects. Like the whole epilepsy thing, I think, but a lot of the criticism is just ridiculous. Thank you for all the Cyberpunk 2077 content you published so far. I watched every single video. I'm going for a Nomad build. That's probably, I think the Nomad build's personally my favorite, just saying. I've done all three. Lots of chat, I think. I apologize, didn't get a good look at your username. But yes, I highly recommend, if you're going for the first time, you're debating, definitely recommend Nomad. But I have done Street Cred. They're all pretty good. Marcel Pete says, Nomad run and gun, Street Kid, net run, Corpo stealth. This is a game that you're going to be running through a lot, Marcel, so looks like you already got the plans. I myself, this is mainly a solo, but I've also started to really invest into my net running abilities, but I mean, I still got a ways to go. Yeah, I'll next head to somewhere else. Trying to think of another good area to show some just NPCs walking about.
Yeah, I'm just testing stuff, getting things ready for this release. Uh-huh.
That's just a gig type. Those are like side missions and such. I haven't been able to compare yet, Druzy, but thank you for the dono. I think I'm gonna... let's see. I'll go back to the fast travel point, and I'm gonna go to another part so you guys can see some actual stands and people just not walking back and forth, which is just mainly what happens here on this area at least. But I mean, I will say that all these NPCs all have different styles and such, which is pretty cool, you know? Because a lot of the times it's just repeated in games. It's very immersive just walking around. Yeah, if you're just getting in here, we're going to be streaming for a couple hours. I'm just walking around Night City. Not really doing too much. I don't want to show off too much of this game so you can experience it for yourself. Like, no story missions. I've done a couple of side quests. That is one thing just to point out. People pop in and stuff. Oh, I don't know if that's a bug or whatnot, but it's very noticeable. Raul, thank you for the dono. Let's see what else. Coltrane, thank you for the 10. Appreciate it. Let's see. Trying to figure out where I should go. Where's a good area to show off some activity? The Loco Luco, thank you for the dono. So relieved. That is all. Ha ha ha. Too Drunk Cajun says, gonna be a straight kid cyber ninja patent pending. Okay, this is the... Alright, we all know this scene. There's V's apartments in there. I'm not gonna bother. You'll see that when you play.
She feels like she does. She cannot. I am twice her size. She feels like she does. I should not physically be possible. If she doesn't weigh more than you do, then y'all are like this freaking close to each other. Like she probably weighs like 60 pounds.
Yeah, most of you will remember this scene. This is just when you walk in the E3 2018 gameplay footage.
I know.
Snizzle, is this a new game? Not sure what you mean by that. If you're saying if this is a new playthrough, no, it's not. This is just like mid-game. I'm just walking around, and people have been doing that. People are doing their own streams of the early goings. K3 Subo, again, a lot of people ask about frames. My frames are good. It's just YouTube if it's messing up. Yeah, if you're just getting in here, like the video if you can. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm trying to read chat, but a lot of it's just people really trying to tear the game apart for some reason.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I am. Watched a few people. Evidently, they're not here in the States or even near me, obviously, because the game doesn't release until tomorrow. Actually, tonight at midnight. So, just doing like everybody else, checking out the game through other people's streams and the pre-releases. I'll be streaming as soon as the game hits. So.
Jamie, thank you for the 5. You're asking how terrible you can be. There's a
try
lot
to
of really rude
get a long stream in, do a lot of gameplay.
You can be pretty
I'm not sure which storyline I'm going to chase first, but
there's options and such.
I'm up to, if anybody hitting up a chat and wants to see something in particular, we can go that route. Kind of let chat dictate which way they want to go. That's the best thing about an RP game. You can, you know, all your decisions are consequence based. So we can be the nice guy and play through with no killing, or we can be run and gun and kill fucking everything. I don't care. But we're gonna figure out something. We'll play a bunch of ways. This is basically what I'll be playing for the next few months. Now remember, I am having surgery next week, so I'm not sure how much my gameplay is going to be affected. I'm sure it's going to be affected. I'm having surgery on my arm, but yeah, this guy's just basically walking around Night City,
Logan, thank you for the dono.
showing a few things here and there. Let me see if I can't go back.
When looking at Cyberpunk 2077, it is kind of hard to believe that the Cyberpunk universe is actually the same universe as Earth, except somewhere along the way, things drastically completely alter the course of the Cyberpunk universe, make it completely different to our universe. But if we were to look back, key events such as World War I, World War II, they did happen within the Cyberpunk universe. So in this video, we are going to be going through a bit of the timeline. I have already done a video talking about the timeline before, but this time we are actually going to be looking at the exact point in which the Cyberpunk universe has started to change. Before I do get into the video, if you do want to see me stream this game live when it is released on December the 10th, then there is a link in the description down below which will take you over to the Twitch channel. Normally I stream every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, and recently what that has been consisting of is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Call of Duty Cold War, and also a bit of Red Dead Online. For those
Full coverage for
Let's
the
see.
third night
This
alone.
is
Consider that to be true. It's
the walkthrough gameplay part one.
recently, probably being overcharged for auto.
See what we got going on here. Don't want to shut
The
up.
wait is nearly over. Cyberpunk 2077 is set to release next week. Just saying that is
Tonight.
almost unbelievable. On this channel, this is a game that I first began talking about all the way back in 2016. It's been a long time coming, and now we are here in single digits, just days from release. As was the case with Red Dead Redemption 2, content for Cyberpunk will continue post-launch. Down the road, I will discuss news related to story DLC and the mysterious standalone multiplayer game coming a few years from now. But also we'll discuss other highly anticipated games coming in the future, like the next Witcher installment. Today though, we have quite a bit of new Cyberpunk 2077 news, gameplay images, and details to discuss. This very well may be the last info dump before launch, and there's quite a bit to go through. Right now, if there's any concern at all that remains, well, we're seeing in various parts of the world launch date parties being announced. We're also seeing even more advertising and billboards going up. In Poland, one of the biggest retail chains is gearing up for the launch with giant displays. Various game stores are getting shipping invoices for physical copies of the game, which are set to arrive in the coming days. In some areas of the world, preload has supposedly already began. We are in December now. And based on this recent slide from a CDPR investor call and everything we're actually seeing, it truly is the final big push. Additionally, CD Projekt Red just 5 days ago again reiterated no more delays. But I'm sure most of you won't believe it until the game's in your hands and or being started for the first time. Also, for what it's worth, this is something that was blowing up the other day, but somebody got their hands on a leaked or stolen copy of Cyberpunk 2077 and were trying to sell it on eBay. Had 46 bids and was up to $4,000 just to play the game, maybe a couple of days early depending on shipping. Absolutely crazy. No idea if they actually sold it, but yeah. Anyway, right now, as I said before, lots of new Cyberpunk 2077 details to discuss, but as usual, before we proceed forward, if you do go and do enjoy this content and want to show your support for videos like this, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing for more, and turning notifications on so you do not miss out on any new videos. Also, if you want to further support this channel, consider checking out my Patreon and consider contributing. And make sure to get geared up for this upcoming game by getting the new Samurai or Wanted t-shirt designs. If you're interested in getting these Cyberpunk themed tees, there will be a link in the description down below. Nonetheless, we've seen Xbox Series X and Xbox One X gameplay. Just a number of days ago, we also saw PS5 and PlayStation 4 Pro gameplay. I don't believe I actually had a chance to discuss the new PlayStation gameplay, but overall, it looked impressive. While the gameplay didn't really show off much new, I did find it fascinating seeing just a bit more of the Nomad life path in which V crosses the border into North Cali, some of the weather effects on full display, the verticality of Night City with intimidating skyscrapers dominating the view above us, and one of the random encounters of Night City Police Department Special Unit Maxtac destroying some goons was just fun to look at, but also a callback to the 2013 teaser trailer footage. That was a CGI trailer, and CD Projekt Red actually incorporated that into the real game. The official Cyberpunk 2077 Twitter account, as well as CD Projekt Red's head of animation Sebastian Kalemba, referenced the moment recently, acknowledging that it was inspired by that original 2013 trailer of Cyberpunk 2077. But another small and really cool detail from the PS5 gameplay was the fact that when Jackie speaks to V, some words are not translated, and that's actually highlighted in blue. Remember, to get the translation, you need to have the proper implant installed. This was a gameplay detail mentioned a couple of years ago, and it's just nice now to see it in action. But in terms of performance of the recent Xbox and PlayStation gameplay, it looks solid, but still many questions remain about the base consoles of the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Just days ago, CD Projekt Red held their latest financial call with investors for Q3, and a lot was revealed, especially in regards to post-launch plans and how the game supposedly runs right now. But that very important question about base console performance was brought up, and CDPR's CEO Adam Kaczynski responded by acknowledging the game does not run as well as it did on the Xbox One X or PlayStation 4 Pro, but it still, in their opinion, is surprisingly good, I would say, for such a huge world. Kaczynski later did single out the PlayStation versions of the game, saying about performance that PS5 is great, PlayStation 4 is still very good. I mean, we had those extra 3 weeks and we achieved a lot within this final stretch, so we believe that the game is performing great on every platform. Now, getting back to the earlier part of this investor call, Adam Kaczynski actually opened it up, acknowledging that right now they are their intensive... Now, getting back to the beginning of this investor call, Adam Kaczynski actually opened it up by acknowledging that right now they are in their intensive phase of their marketing and PR campaign. Review copies and such are going to be sent out to journalists and outlets very, very soon, and he also said that they are eagerly awaiting the moment for gamers to finally lay their hands on the game. In some slides, they just showed off some of the marketing that they've done for the game in New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, London, Paris, Warsaw, Hong Kong, and many more. They have adverts and giant billboards for the game up. Actually, adverts in 55 countries to be more specific. The game's going to be available in 18 languages, 18 subtitled, 10 with voiceovers. And then furthermore, in these slides, we also have all of the partnerships for this game. 20 plus global and local partnerships announced, more to come soon. Some of these include Sprite, Rockstar Energy, Adidas, Alienware, Nvidia, Xbox, Old Spice, Dark Horse, and so on and so forth. And really, CD Projekt Red's executives just wanted to hype up the fact that this game it's coming out. Yeah, no more delays. Now, furthermore, into this call, we got a lot of new details, especially in regards to bugs. That's been a big criticism so far in some of the previews for the game, like outlets like IGN and Games Radar. As far as I remember, most of them were saying that, yes, this is going to have to be fixed before the game does release, and CD Projekt Red have been pretty much acknowledging that they know there are bugs, and it's going to be fixed in a day one patch. So anyway, Adam Kaczynski discussed this. He said the final game's bugs, however, will be on a level that will be as low as to let players not to see them. Specifically, he went on to say, so in terms of bugs, we are all aware of them. Of course, such a big game cannot be just bug-free. That's kind of obvious. But we believe that the level will be as low as to let gamers not to see them. And fortunately, some bugs extended previous were caused by some general features, and many of them are already fixed. So what gamers will get will be different from what previewers got recently in their builds. Now, Adam Kaczynski later in this call was also asked about the multiplayer game, which again is not connected to Cyberpunk 2077. He said the following. So first, we don't call it modes, it's a separate, dedicated production, a big production. We think about it as a standalone product. Obviously, it's not entirely standalone as it comes from the universe of Cyberpunk, and is very much related to the concept of single-player Cyberpunk I came up with. But from our perspective, it's another independent production, and independent team of people working on it. And I said already, we are not focusing right now on talking too much about the other future products that are to be released after Cyberpunk. So please be with us in the first quarter.
If you're an accredited investor, I have big news. In the last 12 months, I bought 5 major
of next year, when we plan to share some strategy updates, and I believe Cyberpunk multiplayer will be possible. So it looks like our first update on what's going on with this multiplayer game will be sometime early 2021. Now, in addition to the multiplayer, we did get some news on Cyberpunk 2077's DLC reveals, which Adam Kaczynski said the following. The initial plan was to do it before release, but after the recent delay, we decided to wait for the release to provide gamers with a game and then start talking about future projects. So after release. So initially my expectation a number of weeks ago was that we were going to have a new Night City Wire episode, maybe one just dedicated to post-launch plans. Because we have not heard anything so far about what free DLC is going to be like for Cyberpunk 2077. We of course don't have details so far on what the multiplayer game is going to look like, which is probably coming sometime in 2022. And then the story DLC expansions, which everybody's going to be hopefully hyped for after release of the main game. Well, we haven't heard anything so far on that. That's why I suspected that we're going to have a Night City Wire dedicated just to that aspect. But right now it looks like those plans will be pushed off to probably the beginning of next year at the very earliest. But right now some people have been running with DLCs are already being delayed for Cyberpunk, and that's actually not true. It's just the announcement. The reveal has been delayed. Now, to a couple of other pieces of news that came from this investor call, CD Projekt Red revealed that Cyberpunk 2077's pre-orders are visibly higher than any Witcher title. And right now, CD Projekt Red expects at least 50% of early sales to be digital. None of this really should be surprising. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt was CD Projekt Red's, well, their rise to fame in this AAA games industry. And so many people are hyped for Cyberpunk 2077 just because of the level of attention and care that we had with The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. So pre-orders being high for Cyberpunk, not very surprising. Now, an additional detail that was mentioned, this one's just a little bit maybe funny. Keanu Reeves has played Cyberpunk 2077 and he loves it. That's according to CD Projekt Red. Adam Kaczynski said that he played the game, but as far as I know, he has not finished it yet. So, but definitely he played the game and he loves it, which I don't really know what else CD Projekt Red was going to say. It's not like they're going to come out and say that he doesn't like the game, but yes, it's cool. I guess Keanu has played it and he likes it. Next, though, we're going to move on to some more Cyberpunk 2077 news, because recently Mike Pondsmith, the creator of the Cyberpunk franchise, was interviewed by The Atlantic, and he discussed a little bit about his experience in Night City so far in Cyberpunk 2077, which he did acknowledge that he's not played a finished version of the game, and this is just a moment that he mentioned from his experience. He said, "I walk around, I go where I'm not supposed to go, I stand on street corners. It's great because there are moments where somebody walks by and they're having a real conversation and I listen in, just as I would on a real street. I'm thinking, well, it's not my business, but it does sound like an interesting story." And I just have to say that it's got to be such an amazing feeling to watch your universe brought to life in one of the most anticipated games in years. And it's also going to be pretty cool for players and fans of this franchise because Mike Pondsmith does have a role as supposedly a DJ in Cyberpunk 2077, so we'll be hearing him on one of the radio stations as we cruise through the streets of Night City, so that's going to be pretty cool. Now, this is probably not very surprising. This is something that happened with Red Dead Redemption 2 just days before release, and there is a Cyberpunk 2077 adult movie parody. Not surprising at all. CD Projekt Red's business development director said that I guess mimicking is the highest form of praise, and I don't really know what else to say about this other than the fact that it's named Cyberpunk 2077 XXX parody, but I feel like it would have been better suited for Cyberpunk 2069, but hey, that's just my suggestion. Recently, we did get some new Cyberpunk 2077 gameplay images with Hungarian subtitles. These screenshots are actually very interesting because the first one is of a scene that we've seen quite a bit in Cyberpunk 2077 trailers, and that is of Adam Smasher crossing by, well, that being Evelyn Parker. We know that because the heads-up display is now here, and we can see that it is a brain dance, and Adam Smasher saying some very, unkind things. He says, in this rough translation, "You look like a piece of affable meat, aren't you?" And then with some of the markers on the screen of this brain dance, at the upper right hand corner we have three objectives. We can scan the audio layer of Yorinobu Arasaka's phone call, we can scan the room security system, and then we can watch the video over from Evelyn's perspective. Remember, she's supposed to be a working girl, but she's using her access to find a very important implant early in the game. But in the other screenshot, again with Evelyn Parker, I believe this is them, V, having a sit down with her at Lizzie's bar, and they're discussing their plan of crossing Arasaka and going over the operation. But next, we have some more technical Cyberpunk 2077 details that have been revealed. This is going to be important to most of you because the download size and the preload date have been supposedly leaked. And this is what has been revealed by PlayStation Game Size. They're saying that the base game is going to be 72 gigabytes. Right now, the update, there's no release date or any details on that yet. We have no idea what the size of it's going to be. I would imagine it's probably going to be pretty substantial. But the preload date right now is set for December 8th, and then the launch will again be the 10th. But that date of 10th isn't actually very accurate, and I'm going to say that because right now, Cyberpunk 2077's release date in all time zones, it's going to be at the same time. It's going to be confirmed for 1 a.m. in Poland, not 12 a.m., and what this means is that everybody will be playing the game 1 a.m. in Poland. So what this translates to is 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, December 9th in the United States, and on the East Coast where I live, December 9th at 7 p.m., so you'll be playing the game 5 hours earlier. This is pretty cool because games like Red Dead Redemption 2, the people who got to play the game first were those living in New Zealand or Australia, having the game for about, what, 12 to 14 hours earlier. And I just kind of like this new way of going about things in which everybody plays the game for the first time at the exact same moment. I feel like that should be the way that this entire industry goes about releases. But for those who actually are buying Cyberpunk 2077 on Steam, it was recently announced that you'll be receiving a short story written by their story lead, Tomas Marshuka. It's called 2 AM, She Calls, and it will show you the hostile streets of Night City as seen by Frank, an ex-NCPD officer working the night shift as a combat cab driver. And then another announcement by the official Cyberpunk 2077 Twitter account was that all console players, if you start playing Cyberpunk 2077 on PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, you'll be able to continue playing it on a corresponding next-gen console. And then they detailed how cross-saves will work for both PlayStation and Xbox. PC gamers Andy Kelly recently got to play 15 hours of Cyberpunk 2077 in a controlled preview session. And recently they uploaded an article called "There's Way More of The Witcher 3 in Cyberpunk 2077 Than You've Been Told." And first off, they discuss about the amazing characters and if there's going to be quests like The Witcher 3's Bloody Baron, which is kind of considered by many to be just one of the best side quests in all of gaming. And Andy said the following. He said that there are great performances in Cyberpunk, and I get a real vibe of the Bloody Baron quest where there's a character called Judy Alvarez, who's a braindance editor expert. You team up with her quite a lot in the story, so once you've ended your time with her in the story, you can then pursue loads more side quests to get to know the character, and she's actually one of the best characters. And then furthermore, they say that CDPR aren't going to show a scene in the big E3 trailer of Judy and V sitting on a bed.
I'm trying to. They're saying that I could play this today, is what I'm hearing.
Encouraging because I
4
went
o'clock
in there with the same worries. Is
Eastern time, so I don't know if that's
shouting mother effer and gangsters
7 o'clock
and
my
all these
time,
really
4
loud
o'clock
over-the-top
my time. I
characters,
gotta check
but there's
that.
humanity there, and it feels like it plays out in similar ways to some of the Witcher quests. And then Andy then discussed V and how we can actually be a nice V. Andy saying, "I think in those trailers and gameplay clips, whoever's playing has chosen to be the edgelord douchebag V for the sake of the trailers, whereas my V was nicer and way cooler, I thought." And then he says, "Yeah, you can be really nice," which is quite surprising. And this is just a good reminder that this, again, is a role-playing experience in which the story comes first, and yeah, you can make V be whoever you want V to be. Recently, Cyberpunk 2077 game designer Pavel Kopla gave us a very interesting insight into Cyberpunk 2077's quest design, saying, "I just completed a certain quest in Cyberpunk 2077, and while I don't usually get emotional playing games, I had to pause and take a breather after this one. Our quest designers and writers created an insanely good experience." And then somebody asked, "Same level of emotions as the Bloody Baron storyline?" And Pavel said, "Similar, more personal. Will not say more. This needs to be experienced." And then another designer, the lead quest designer for Cyberpunk 2077, Pavel Sasko, said, "The whole studio is playing the game right now, and some devs experience certain stories for the first time. I hope that soon you will love it as much as Pavel did." But now we proceed forward to a new Cyberpunk 2077 interview with CD Projekt Red studio head Adam Badowski. It is a Polish interview, but we fortunately do have subtitles. And I just wanted to point out some of the interesting things that came from this interview, because Adam Badowski talks about the inspirations for the game, Night City as a character, Mike Pondsmith's role in the development, the verticality of this world, which complicates comparisons with The Witcher 3, and the game's size, and he also discusses how the real world has, kind of turned the Cyberpunk franchise into a reality. But Adam Badowski also talked about the original vision from 2012 of creating a mature game about the dark future and whether or not that vision has changed. And he said specifically, "No, that has not changed. We assumed it had to be a noir convention because that's what Mike's world is like. That's the cornerstone. So this is a game where even when the sun rises, it shows us the ashes after the night." Why do I think the game is mature? First, we're telling a story and we want our stories to be mature. What does this mean for Cyberpunk? It means that this game is quite difficult.
I'm trying to get it to play.
I hope
Hey,
I won't
what's
be
up?
reprimanded by our PR specialist after saying the game
Yeah.
has a difficult storyline. It's difficult in the sense that it's
So
not
it's
a game about
5:44
spectacular
Eastern
events
time
and
now.
explosions, actions led by great specialists in such jobs. It's a game about
Yeah, I just tried to
relationships
start it
between
up
people
and
in
it's
an
not,
oppressive
saying it's not
world.
available.
These relationships can be
But I've
difficult
seen
and
people that's
unstable.
actually
Anyway, this path of
playing,
is such a path of transformation.
but it's supposed to
I don't
drop
wanna use big
at
words here
1
or
o'clock
reveal the plot to those who have
in
not played it
Poland,
yet. And
which
I'm also
is
talking about death
4
on
o'clock
topics that are not exactly popular
Eastern
in the
time.
medium, which is computer games. I would like to
US.
reassure our future players that the story is one of the most appreciated elements of our game.
I thought I was going to have to wait till midnight, and I might still have to wait till midnight. I'm not sure.
Of Cyberpunk 2077, will he save the day? In which Adam said, "We don't save worlds in our games as a rule, because then usually there's no room for the heroes themselves. But V's relationships occur kind of on the sidelines of these great events. The final outcome is noir, so the world is just as evil or good or neutral as it was at the very beginning. But we have changed, and we have changed our loved ones. And that's what our plot is about, how we deal with it. If we end up with more or less hope, it depends on the player, because as you know, choices are one of the key elements on our
You gonna play any Apex here in a little bit?
Asked if there will be joy or stories that include happy endings, and not those type happy endings. But Badowski said, "Yeah, of course." And anyway, the whole story of V will end well for everyone, I hope. What we're talking about is the path of the main character. I hope I won't reveal the main storyline, but the idea is to re-examine if everything I want in my life is my idea, or was it somehow programmed by the world? Was it something implanted in my mind like Johnny Silverhand?
Coming December 9th, 2020. Well, today is December 9th.
Believing these are my own thoughts.
But it hasn't dropped yet. It hasn't
Adam Badowski did discuss the nomads, and the interviewer mentions how it's kind of like Mad Max,
here in the next
Badowski
20
says,
minutes.
on one hand, Mad Max, but on the other hand, we have to give a lot of thought to where nomads come from. There's always a certain group of people that equates open spaces with freedom. On the other hand, our world, our America, has changed a lot. All the rich states are ruined. Most of them, only those that have access to this space.
Why don't you jump on after? Because I'm ready to go get my granddaughter.
Breakthroughs happen and are sent.
Evidently, her mother is having an issue with her, so I'm about to go get her and bring her here. So I wouldn't even have time to jump on right this second.
So with major changes in the states, there were
gonna let this run.
People travel like they did during the Great Depression in the USA. This is the basis for the emergence.
Hopefully, I'll be able to play when I get back. We're dropping her, or picking her up, so it's gonna be
easier to hide there. It seems the
20 minutes before I get back.
Are less controlled. However, they're part of
Okay, awesome. Yeah, just
like the rest.
I'll be on for a little bit, so I mean, just hit me up. You see me on, just hit me up.
But in the end, there's still
it just hasn't dropped yet. I'll go ahead and jump over to Apex.
The system is a symbol of the fight for the identity.
I planned on laying down and getting on at midnight tonight.
This was very important. An individual that defies the system.
If I'm on, just hit me up. I'll definitely play something with you.
His favorite character, in which he said, "My favorite character is maybe not the most complicated one, but the coolest, energetic one, Pan Am, a nomad, because we can consciously help her with the side quests and expand the main storyline with very cool events. There's a lot of melancholy, sentimentality there. There's a lot about family, our old favorite tops from The Witcher. That's why I'm very fond of Pan Am." But getting into our next topic, we actually have some new gameplay footage that was recently shared by, I believe, a Japanese outlet. I believe it's Famitsu. Either way, we have an extension of the gameplay trailer which was shown during Night City Wire Episode 5. And what we have here is some new clips of scenes that have been extended a little bit longer, and just some that were removed from the trailer, probably for time. But we do have some interesting shots that I want to discuss. So I took screen caps of some of the most notable ones. The first one, we just have another overlook of the nighttime view of Night City. It looks beautiful, lots of activity going on in the streets, and we have cars driving by. To the next shot, we have an extension of the underwater gameplay, in which V and somebody else are going through the ruins of an unknown part, maybe some of the wreckage of the Fourth Corporate War, maybe a mysterious part of the city that's no longer, it's underwater now, maybe there's a relic or something that we're looking for. Now the next shot, we actually have a look at Pan Am, another shot of her. She's riding the car with us in the passenger seat, not much to make out of here, but it does look like we're to be spending a lot of time with Pan Am, a pivotal character in Cyberpunk 2077, and CDPR's studio head Adam Badowski, well, it's his favorite character. To the next shot, we just have another view of the sunny open world in which we have an NPC walking about, and then we have a very interesting scene because it looks like we have V being hacked. It says, "Enemy netrunners, a hostile netrunner is trying to breach your system. Neutralize him to stop the hack." And my curiosity is going to get the best of me, but I just wonder, what is going to happen if we are hacked? Do we just automatically die? Does our health just go down a little bit? Does our screen start to glitch? That's just a very interesting gameplay mechanic that I'm very curious about how it's going to work. But then we get a scene of Jackie. It looks like this is the beginning or the start of the Arasaka job, which we'll have early on in the game, in which we steal the implant. And then we have a scene from the Street Kid life path in which Padre is being intimidated by somebody else who's driving in an opposing vehicle. I believe that's a 6th Street gang member who's, well, they're battling over territory at the time. And then we have another view of Johnny Silverhand in the northern oil fields on the outskirts of Night City. And then we have V making his way for the first time to his apartment in Watson. We know it's his first time because the apartment's just completely empty. I guess my question with this would be, maybe throughout the game, do we see his apartment grow in terms of what's actually inside of there? Then to the next shot, we have another flashback scene from Johnny's memories in which he's having a good time at a strip club in which he's giving some shots to a stripper, and yeah, this is just some of the naughty aspects of the game, the maturity that you won't see in other AAA open-world RPGs from other developers. But here, this is another moment that was shown in the original gameplay video, and it looks like some sort of mercenary with mantis blades that's after us. And I believe Takamura is the one driving this vehicle, because in the direct next shot, we have what appears to be V maybe in the verge of death with his screen, glitching out. And after we shoot and eliminate this, mercenary that's after us, Takamura takes our gun, because we're obviously not very well. But continuing forward, here we have an action-packed scene in which it looks like V is battling it out with some Tiger Claw gang members, some blood all over the screen, and then to our last few shots we just have another look at the inventory system with some different outfits that V has on. The first one is very business-centric, corpo, and then we have a jacket, a different one, looks pretty cool, and then the final one, this is probably the most stylish one, and it's kind of like a snow leopard-themed jacket. And while this does look very unique in style, in terms of rarity, these are all just common items that we'll find in Night City. I am kind of curious what the legendary ones may or may not look like. Now to the final part of this video, and I'm actually going to have the Japanese gameplay trailer running in the background, just in case if you haven't seen it, you'll see it now, but Alana Pierce recently had an interview or a Q&A session with a couple of journalists who got to play 16 hours of Cyberpunk 2077 recently. These journalists being IGN's Tom Marks and GameSpot's Phil Hornshaw. And Alana Pierce acted as an interviewer, asking various questions about their experience, and also took questions from the audience. And there was quite a bit revealed. A big special thank you or shout out to Reddit user Impol for putting together a list of most of the talking points that came from this hour-long interview. But starting off, she asked about their overall impressions, and Phil said it was a fun RPG, and they compared it to Deus Ex. And then Tom said the preview left him wanting to play more, but he acknowledged that there are rough edges, but he's still excited. And then she asked how has melee and driving changed since the previous preview that they played back in, I believe, June, and Phil and Tom both agreed that melee was fine, and they kind of feel that it's kind of flaily, but it wasn't distractingly bad. And again, this is just a good moment to remind people that this is a story-focused RPG, and one of the big criticisms that came from The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt that I know a lot of people shared was that they just did not enjoy the combat enough. And I kind of do wonder if that's going to be, again, the case with Cyberpunk, but only time will tell. And I do have to wonder how much these previewers have actually invested into certain skills, because it has been said that you'll unlock better animations for certain weapons that you use for a longer period of time. So I just do have to wonder if maybe that impacts the fun factor in terms of using a katana against NPCs. But even in the background of this video, you'll see some gameplay, and personally I feel like it does look a lot better than what it did before. But again, this is a criticism that a lot of outlets have had for a while now. This isn't just coming from these two specific previewers. GameSpot's Phil did reveal that it is possible to break and reestablish stealth. This is kind of like a normal core mechanic that you see in any of these type of games, but essentially you could be using a katana, take out an enemy NPC, another one may see you, and then they'll all be on alert in a certain level. And I guess over a period of time, eventually they'll go back to their normal patrols if they cannot find you. So kind of like any stealth game, but it is cool to see that it is here. And then Alana Pierce did ask what impact our life paths have on the experience. Tom said that there's a unique prologue, as we already know, and there are unique dialogue choices that were impactful and could color your conversations based on your background. Phil echoes the similar sentiment to Tom, notes that you can see choices you could have picked in other life paths. And there are some spoilery moments that they have in this interview. I'm not really going to touch on any of the story-related stuff, but Tom did say that the Cyberpunk has the pace of an RPG and not an action game. Tom and Phil said the RPG elements let you expand your approach beyond just run and gun. And then they were asked, how do you feel about combat overall? Phil said it's fun, but it starts slow. You are not the strongest at the beginning and need to be deliberate about how you fight. Tom again echoes Phil's point and elaborates that your experience in combat can radically change as you get different weapons, abilities, etc. Again, this is what I said earlier, improving on skill progression, things like that. You get better animations as you progress. Now, IGN's Tom was asked about what happens when you die, and there's nothing, spectacular here. You just restart at a checkpoint, like in any normal game. But he did emphasize the fact that, being that this is a role-playing experience, you'll be quick-saving a lot. And again, you will not be able to quick-save during combat encounters, but again, the key to this game is just quick saving as much as you can. And I found this question actually very interesting, which Alana asks, what do you anticipate the initial public reaction to be? Tom says it's going to be like The Witcher 3, which is regarded as a masterful game even with its launch issues. And then Phil said, I think it's going to be fine. Now, in regards to Johnny Silverhand and how he is, Phil says that he's not always there. There's a comparison that they make to Cortana, but the relationship between V and Johnny is just somewhat antagonistic. It's not great because Johnny's an ass, but it is influenced by our decisions. Tom does agree with Phil, and he gives an example about how Silverhand plays well into the quest system, in which specifically V will be entering into a market, somebody may be playing on a guitar, and then Johnny actually just starts, talking about, I guess, the music that's being played, and that may trigger a quest. They just say it's very natural. Now, he does give a very interesting hot take in which he says that while the voice cast, the performances in Cyberpunk 2077 are very good, he says that Keanu Reeves may be the weak link. And he does say that it's not terrible, but I guess it does stick out a little bit. But he overall just says that his performance it's fine, it's decent, it's good. Now, the next question, Alana asks how populated is the world, and this is very important because I know a lot of people are very curious about population density. And Phil says, I thought it was pretty dense. And he notes that there were minor bugs, but nothing that majorly detracts. And then Tom was impressed by the density, so that's good news. But in regards to styles and if people change as we move through the city, Phil does say that that is the case. And then they were both asked, did either of them get into the romance options? Phil says that he didn't get far enough into the story to really experience enough, but he did pick up a worker, and he described first-person adult scenes. We talked about that in a recent video. Check it out if you haven't already. And then Tom tells a story about inadvertently launching an adult scene with a CD Projekt Red developer in the room, and the quest reward was literally a dildo on a bat, no joke. But Tom specifically says that this is a scene that he just had no idea was happening. Pretty much it's just a quest. He was told to go to a hotel room, and when he goes to the hotel room, he opens the door, and I guess an NPC's laying on the bed, and then, well, action happens. So, yes, it seems like there's going to be some surprise scenes, but he did say that he had to make some unique dialogue options to get this. So again, just replayability with this game is going to be extremely key. But Phil and Tom did say that neither of them experienced romance firsthand. CD Projekt Red was tight-lipped about it to avoid spoilers. Honestly, though, I gotta say that I am a little bit surprised hearing that certain romance weapon, I don't even know if you could call it romance, dildo on a bat, that is something that I did not expect, but maybe I should have with Cyberpunk 2077, but my curiosity is going to get the best of me. Are we going to have like a crafting menu in which we can edit this further? And how
I wanted to have a stable career, but college was too expensive. Eventually, I found out.
What's up, gamer? We have Cyberpunk to review.
This is it, everybody. This is our moment together. Today, we review the most anticipated game of 2020, FIFA 13 Soccer, with a GameStop case. Now, of course, we're talking about the Punk. I've had Cyberpunk 2077 for about a week at this point in time, thanks to CD Projekt Red for providing that review code. I've logged over 50 hours into the game, completing the main story, doing a lot of side content and other activities throughout the open world, and we're going to be talking about story, gameplay, choices, design, sound, everything in this review here to give you the most thorough coverage of Cyberpunk 2077. Of course, that will all be spoiler free. But before we dive into the full official review for Cyberpunk 2077, a bit of a sus alert. So as I've made sure to choose my words carefully, this is the official review here on my channel. On Monday, you saw myself as well as many others release what some people called reviews. Some people took those reviews and then compiled them even though they didn't have access to the game and called them reviews. But anyway, those were more like impressions because we could not show gameplay here on YouTube explaining what we liked or even what we disliked when it came to Cyberpunk 2077. Now, that was in the name of no spoilers, but let's be honest, this game was buggy as hell, and they were trying to hide that. So, do be aware that this was a very shady, strange request from a company. Normally, they just let you post the game and show your thoughts and display visual examples like what you're talking about. But in this case, they wanted you to use trailers, their own B-roll gameplay, which I was just like, no, I'll just talk to the camera and hope people listen, which a lot of you did. Thank you for that. Number 2, epilepsy warning. So, Game Informer posted a really important article highlighting that there are specific triggers in this game, so do be aware of this if you suffer from it or you have a friend who suffers from it. Apparently, CD Projekt Red is already working on something for this. It's due to the brain dancing in the game, which will not be showing inside this video here because I don't know.
I didn't know if you were or not.
Number 3, no one tested this game on console as of this moment in time outside of the people making the game, and that is a little bit strange. All of us who reviewed the game reviewed it on console, so hopefully things are good on the console space, but do know this is where my review is coming from.
Right.
But she is the blatant need.
I believe this game lived up to the hype, but that was my personal hype. You can go ahead,
run through the property door circles and stuff. This is what this person's doing. This is what this person's doing. This is what you're doing, Shay. When you get done, you come help such and such. When she gets done doing her stuff, after she takes forever to do her stuff, she goes off on a tangent and does other stuff. Stuff we haven't even told her to do. We were taking care of a complex today, under time, mind you. We didn't have enough time to actually do the full complex, so we only did half the complex. Ended up doing majority of the complex because of her. We were only going to do the front seat. Office grass and house grass. I ended up cutting all that grass by myself. She was supposed to help after we blew it. We blew it, I started cutting, and she was supposed to cut this little bitty patch in the center and then come help me. She went all the way to the back of the property and started cutting shit that we didn't need to cut. And I walked up to her and I was like, and she's like, you want me to do this part right here? And I'm like, get done with what you're doing and come to the truck.
Right?
So we got fit girl. This is the little onesie that Dad picked up for her. And then, here's her in her little pink outfit.
So, from what I'm reading, Cyberpunk 2077 is supposed to drop 1 p.m. in Poland right now, today.
Yeah.
Meaning, it's supposed to drop with me at 1700 Eastern time.
So that means you'll get it sometime tomorrow.
No,
right?
I should already have it. I'm sitting here
Waiting for it?
waiting for it.
It's one of the most anticipated games of 2020.
It is the most anticipated game.
Yeah, for the past 5 years. It's one of the most anticipated game in the past 5 years. Right
So,
next to the Resident Evil remakes. Especially with the new
I was setting everything up for
me
me to start streaming because I was going to come in because it's supposed to get tonight at midnight. I was going to go get some sleep.
Fuck.
What?
I knew I forgot something.
What?
I found something like this. It looks like your mic holder, except it has an LED light on it. I found it out in the yard.
Okay.
I don't know if it works or not, but it's the full setup. Like, you can just set it down and adjust it and everything. It looks cool. I meant to bring it to you.
Right.
It's sitting in the truck now.
Be alright.
Oh, you didn't bring in her onesie.
She did what?
There's a onesie that Mr. Ken got us.
Oh, yeah.
The landscape workshop.
Well, I love y'all. I'm gonna go
Go relax.
cry.
Handle your business. Cry in the corner.
I'm gonna fix mine and Andy's dinner, and then I'm gonna.
Whenever you're ready, let us know and we'll get yours together. We're having Reuben sandwiches.
You can cook my Reuben whenever.
Okay, and then you'll just warm it up.
Yep.
And I bought fries to eat, but whenever y'all want, cook them.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna cook just a pan of fries, and then they can warm them up as they go. Can I
Gotcha.
have a cherry?
She's just doing everything.
Well, you asking a lot.
I haven't tried the dark chocolate ones.
You're more likely to be able to take my granddaughter across state lines before I give you a cherry. Yeah, you can have one.
I'm trying to be polite because we only just deal with women.
They're really good. I like
most
dark
of the guys
chocolate.
up there actually. So yeah, we only deal with women. I gotta be courteous because of the vaginas that I don't have the paper to wipe.
Easy with the JJ words, man.
What?
It's the hoo-ha.
It's
I
vagina.
like the dark chocolate better.
Look, just because you like my chocolate more than you like his chocolate. I mean, he is a drop of my chocolate. We do spend a lot of time together, but it's not. That's just not gonna happen. You know, we cool, but we ain't ever gonna be that cool.
We friends, but you ain't gonna hold that mirror.
No, no, you can't hold the mirror, cause I can't see that far without my glasses.
What the fuck are you doing, Dad?
Come on, fucking drop.
Big old full belly. Don't do that.
Yeah. You see how full her belly is?
Turn green, you fucking piece of shit. I fart on your head.
Alright, come here, Munchkin. It's time to come to Andy.
So that mommy can get our food cooked. Come on.
He's probably just not hungry. Like, just flat out not hungry. He's not hungry right now. Okay, so question. Broth or whole wheat bread? One or two? How much is broth gonna do? Because you're gonna have to sew into one of both. Because that's all we're gonna do. But we aren't like, our shit's not open. I don't know. Brennan absolutely will not eat whole wheat. Ever.
Drop, you piece of shit. It's December 9th now, motherfucker. I mean, I'm gonna show you this. What does that say? That says December 9th, coming 2020. That is right now. Look, I'm gonna expand this. Coming December 9th, 2020. That is now. Fucking play. These motherfuckers. Cover your ears. Earmuffs. Motherfuckers. Earmuffs. Come on. Drop, you mother sucker. So I am waiting, patiently waiting, patiently waiting